Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and do a little soft tear down on this, see what kind of ring and pinion ratio we have. And I'll show you how to get to the rear end on a bus. It's a little different than a Beetle. If you want to take the rear end out of these, you have to remove these two bolts over here, pull the flange off, and then this unscrews on an 091. And that's how you set the depth on the ring gear too, into the pinion. So if you're going to take that apart, you want to keep track of it if you're planning on putting it back together. And these are pretty easy to pattern because of the way the bell housing comes off. You can put everything in there and you can pattern the ring gear and move that around and play with it. And that's one of the things I like about a bus tranny. So let's go ahead and pull this off back here, the bell housing area, and that'll expose the ring and pinion. And we'll have an idea of what we have for gear ratio anyway. And that way when I make a phone call later, I'll have all my information in hand. When you're ordering a tranny, you want to have all your information, your motor size, your gear ratio, what tire you're running, what kind of RPM you want to run. All that stuff's critical when you make the phone call, because they're going to ask you all those questions. So, this guy was upset about this tranny because somebody had rebuilt it before. Turn the air on. But almost every Volkswagen tranny out there that's on the road has probably been rebuilt once or maybe twice. You know, they don't last forever. We're getting old. And they're like anything else, they have to be serviced. So that's it on the bell housing bolts. You have 6 of them inside the clutch area, and then there's 3 more on the bottom, or 4 more on the bottom. And all you need now is a hammer. Just gently tap the top of the bell housing, and it'll separate from the transmission. And give a little wiggle here and slide that off, and that'll expose your ring gear. This ring and pinion look very nice, even though the pinion's moving. The nut is loose, just like on most of the car boxes that come in. We always have to retorque the pinion nut, and that's an issue with this one. So that's part of the reason why this is walking out the front of the box. So the next thing we'll do is a tooth count on our ring gear here, and we'll do a tooth count on the pinion, and we'll determine what gear ratio we have, whether this is a 457 or a 514, I think, is our 2 choices. This is it's a Klingenberg gear. Can't really make the number out. I want to say it says 734 on it. I don't think that's what we're looking for. Again, I'll just do the tooth count. That's the most accurate way to find out what ratio you have. But the ring gear looks really good in this, better than I expected it to, being that we have that pinion and bearing issue on the front. But it's a little dirty in there. You know, it's been a while since it's been serviced for sure. But that's how you expose the ring gear on one of these. Next, you take the flanges off. We'll pull the rear end out, and we can pull the gearbox out of the case. I don't know if we're going to go that far on this one. We're mainly just going to try to get a count on the teeth, and go from there and see what we got. So I'm going to give Dave a call out there at Rancho this morning and see if he has something that he can send me on the shelf. I think the only thing really wrong with this box is the damage that it has to the gearbox. That's the other thing that's critical when you buy a box from somebody. You need to talk to them about all the damage that you see on your transmission, because they have what they call acceptable cores and unacceptable cores. And you don't want to take the expense and the time to crate your transmission up if you know there's an issue with the tranny that they're not going to accept it for full core value, because the core charge on a tranny is usually $250 to $300, and you can depend on probably you can count on about $100 to ship a tranny, maybe a little bit more depending on how you package it and who ships it for you. So sometimes it's a really good idea to talk to the guy real close and find out what they accept for a core, what they don't like to see, and you want to make sure that your box has none of those problems, because if you ship it all the way out there and they take the box apart and they don't like the core and they tell you, hey man, we're not going to take the core because it's no good, then you have the choice of shipping your core back across the country that you probably don't need. You know, if you're not a shop, it's probably just going to sit on your back porch or in your garage. You're not going to use it for parts. But if they don't give you core value for it, I can guarantee you they will use it for parts, and they will charge you full pop on your transmission. So sometimes it's just better to pay the full pop on the tranny, forego the core charge and the shipping of the old unit, unless it's something that absolutely has to be fixed. I would never ship this tranny out to have it repaired. You know, I'll fix that here. If they want to repair it, I can repair it, no problem. Put the pinion bearing in there, set everything back up. New synchronizers, we can do that. It doesn't make sense to ship it to California. But I don't think the guy's comfortable with changing the gearbox case and buying all the hard parts. So we'll write the estimate both ways, and he can make the decision then. He'll be more informed to make a more clear decision, you know, looking at both ways. So the ring and pinion looks really nice though. That was one thing I was worried about, and that's good. So that's how we do that. I don't think I'm going to go any further because I don't think he wants to get into the gearbox. So I'm just going to count that up. We'll call them, and we'll get on that motor next.